Okay, here we're looking at part 2, and we're going to review basically the 12 major classical world religions. And I can only emphasize a few things here, and I'll go over it. That we're going to understand the spirituality can be secular or religious in nature. And having an understanding and an appreciation for the 12 major classical religions can be both enlightening and informative. Now, please be aware that this textbook is in no way a comprehensive study on religion. That you can certainly pursue that in an academic environment. And I should also point out that neither am I an authority on world religions. And I'm going to begin by saying right off the get-go that I'm going to apologize for some of the mispronunciations of some religious terms. Should you have knowledge or a better pronunciation or better knowledge of the religious groups that we're going to review, please stop me in the hallways on a Thursday. I am very interested in learning more. And so I do apologize if I mispronounce. I have found some errors in the textbook on spelling in this area, so let's take this with a bit of a grain of salt. So let's begin a review of religions in part 2 here in chapter 17, and this is our last video and last chapter of this semester. All right, everybody, let's begin. So we're going to look at what we now know to be, and you might ask yourself, what are these major classical world religions? Well, there's major classical world religions number 12. Now, there are way more religious groups than just these 12. World religions or practices share some common universal human values and seek to create more than just a sustainable world society. Many of the world religions also encourage health and wellness. So we're going to just touch on at religions in Canada. Now, Canada is a religiously diverse country. You will see in your textbook on page 459 figures 17.3 and 17.4 two self-identity survey results on self-identity and service attendance. And in addition, beside me, is other survey results considering Canadian religion, age, and gender. Regarding religion and spirituality, Canadians tend to identify themselves as spiritual almost twice as often as they identify as being religious. More than half of Canadians who embrace religion report that they attend religious services at least once a month. And so it just really emphasizes and reminds us that in Canada, we're spiritual, we're religious, and we are diverse in those areas. So we're going to now briefly review each of the 12 classical religions in Canada. So let's begin. We're going to go, these are in no particular order. The Baha'i world faith is one. Now, Baha'i is a belief that there is a single God who sends prophets into the world through which the world of God is revealed. Now, some of the beliefs of the Baha'i was in the 1800s where they were considered at that time to be very ahead of their time, particularly in their pursuit of world peace, democracy, and equal rights for women. Now, I'm going to limit my dialogue because, one, the text is limited, and it's, again, not a world religion, but it's to sort of demonstrate that most of the religions do have this connection between health, mind, body, and spirituality. So that's the Baha'i that we're going to talk about. Now, Buddhism is the fourth largest religion in the world. Buddhism encourages the connection between both the natural world and the spiritual world. And it has evolved into two main forms. The Theravada Buddhism and Mahayana Buddhism. Now, Tibetan Buddhism is led by the Dalai Lama, and that's probably somebody you're familiar with. A Tibetan monk who promotes nonviolence, compassion, religious harmony, world peace, and universal responsibility. We cannot escape responsibility for what we do. This is a process of karma, reaping what we sow, which can happen in this life or in the next life, according to Buddhism. Now, in Buddhism, there are 4 noble truths. The dukkha, which is suffering does exist. The samudaya, this is where that there is suffering and there is a cause to suffering. The nirhada, there is an end to suffering. And the magga is that the suffering follows, to end suffering, and you follow the 8 paths. Now, you'll find those in your textbook. Now, one that probably, as a Canadian, most people are familiar with, and that is Christianity. And there's multiple meanings for the term Christianity. This is common. What is common is the belief in the Yeshua of Nazareth, or the Jewish preacher, commonly referred to as Jesus Christ, and the Son of God. Now, the 10 Commandments guide Christians as they live their lives. They are intended as a universal set of rules for all people to follow. Now, Christians believe that there is a life after death, but the various Christian groups do not necessarily agree to the way souls are saved. Now, Confucianism, you may have heard, Confucius says, and Confucianism is an ethical system by which certain rituals, specific times during one's lifetime, are practiced. Confucian ethical teachings include Lei, Xiao, Yi, Xin, Zhen, and Cheng. The 4 life passages of which Confucian rituals are performed are birth, reaching maturity, marriage, and death. Now, the next one we'll look at is Hinduism. Now, Hinduism is the world's 3rd largest religion. It doesn't have a single founder or a central religious organization. Hindus recognize a single deity while honoring other gods and goddesses as manifestations and aspects of that supreme god. Now, most Hindus follow one of 2 major divisions: the Vaishnavism and the Shaivism. These are 2 different forms of Hindus. Now, the Hindus follow the aim of Hinduism, following the aims of Hinduism: Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. I worked on these pronunciations before, and it's not something that's natural to me, so I apologize again for mispronunciations, and please do feel free to come and see me and straighten me out. Now, karma determines how one lives one's next life, and this falls within the Hindu religion. Now, Islam is the youngest of the world's largest religions. If current trends continue, Islam will become one of the most popular world religions, sometime in the mid-20th century and moving past Christianity. Muhammad the Prophet met considerable opposition to his teachings, but did become the most powerful leader in Arabia, where Islam became firmly established. The 2 main texts Muslims consult are the Quran and the Hadith. The 6 fundamental beliefs of Islam are the single indivisible God, the angels, the divine scriptures, the messengers of God, the day of the judgment, and the supremacy of God's will. Muslims have duties to perform. Other practices include the jihad. Now, the attainment of a noble goal, which is a personal, internal struggle with oneself, and is commonly misunderstood as a holy war or a call against all non-Muslims. And I think what we can probably learn about the diversity of religions is that most of us aren't very schooled and don't understand other religions very well. We have very little understanding, and that if we did have better and deeper understanding, we would see there's probably more similarities than there are vast differences, that there are misunderstandings about every religion. Okay, let's move on to, now this one is not one you may be familiar with, Jainism, or the Jain Dharma. Jainists believe that the universe, which has not any particular beginning or any particular end, exists as a series of layers. There's the supreme abode, the upper world, the middle world, the netherworld, the Nagoda, and the universal space, and the space beyond. Now, Jainists are expected to follow the 5 principles of living. Amisha, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, and Abhidhara. And again, I'm sorry, should that affect anybody in a negative way. Now, Judaism is another one that maybe you're more familiar with, or at least familiar on the surface with. Judaism originated as a divine covenant between God and the ancient Israelites and the prophet Abraham. Jews believe in one creator who was worshipped as the absolute ruler of the universe. Now, Jews follow what is known as the Tanakh, which is composed of 3 groups of books, including the Torah. They also follow the Talmud, which contains stories, laws, medical knowledge, and debates about moral choices. Another religious group within this 12 classics is Shinto. Shinto is an ancient Japanese religion closely connected to nature. It recognizes the existence of kami and other nature deities. Now, there's 4 affirmations in Shinto. They are tradition and the family, love of nature, physical cleanliness, and what's known as Matsuri, the worship and honor given to the kami and ancestral spirits. Another religion that gets often misunderstood is Sikhism. Sikhism is sometimes believed to be part of the Hindu religion tradition. The goal of Sikhs is to build closeness, loving relationships to God. Sikhs believe in samsara, karma, and reincarnation. The image beside me offers an overview of the 3. Now, one that you also may have some, bit of information about is Taoism. Tao sometimes translates as the path, is a force that flows through life. If you're a believer, your goal is to become one with the Tao. Taoists do not pray to a god. They seek answers to life's problems through meditation and observation. Now, there's a commitment to health and vitality. Development of virtue is important, and Taoists search for compassion, moderation, and humility. Now, this next one we're going to touch on is utilitarianism. Now, this is not included as one of the lists of classical religions in Canada, but it is considered an open-minded and alternative religion that has an individualistic approach which supports a wide range of beliefs. Unitarians. Now, it's also important to note that if you go searching for information on Unitarians, you're going to find Unitarian Universals, and it's not exactly the same. Unitarians are encouraged to search for meaning in life in a responsible way. At the heart of the Unitarianism is the understanding that there are no set standards of beliefs. Therefore, people of all different faiths are welcome. There's a belief in one God, but Unitarians have rejected the concept of the Trinity. The core belief is that God is present in every individual and all parts of nature's world. Unitarians were the first church in Britain to accept women as ministers, and they also support equal rights for gays and lesbians. And so you can probably get an appreciation that of all these, there's similarities and there are differences. And what I would encourage is an invitation to health and wellness. You're invited to learn more about health and wellness and how your lifestyle choices affect your personal potential. You're invited to continue to live well. Explore, challenge yourself and your beliefs. Search for and choose healthful, physically, nutritionally, and spiritually as you make your way through the life stages that are ahead of you. I hope that you make good choices, that you explore the world around you, search for what it is that's important for you. Let that be a lot of your guide about what you do and how you choose to pursue a healthy nutrition, healthy physically, healthy spiritually. Enjoy. I hope you've enjoyed this course. I've really enjoyed teaching it. I've enjoyed learning as I've gone through it. And like I've said, if you have information that will help me understand better a religion that I misspoke in terms of pronunciation, please spend some time with me and fill me in. I'm a learner for life, and I hope you will become one too. Bye, everybody.